Life often falls apart not from explosions, but from tiny cracks we stubbornly ignore. Subtle changes, words spoken with ease as if they mean nothing. And only when everything collapses does it become clear. Every unfinished moment, every smile dodging questions, was part of a single chain. But what do you do when you realize that trust is fragile glass that can no longer be mended? When the game of tolerance turns into betrayal, and the word love becomes an empty sound? How much time does it take to see the truth hidden behind apologies and half-truths? And what remains when there's nothing left to save? Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watch this video from. Now let's get started. My name's Gregory. For most of my marriage, I believed everything was steady. Not out of naivety, but because I made a conscious decision to trust. I thought love thrived when given freedom. I never felt the need to track locations or demand logins. To me, genuine love wasn't about surveillance. Julia and I had been in each other's lives for 8 years, 5 of those as husband and wife. She had her own rhythm, poised, independent, a powerhouse in her fast-paced marketing career. She drew people in without effort. Her charisma was effortless and well-calibrated, and she wasn't hesitant to wield it. That had never been a problem for me. I never equated jealousy with love, only with fear dressed up as control. But gradually, the dynamic began to shift. Nothing blatant, just small inconsistencies that began to layer themselves. Julia started extending boundaries. Professional events melted into increasingly late returns. 2 a.m. became routine. Her explanations remained elusive. The event ran late, she'd say. You know how these things go. Anytime I brought it up, she'd glide past it, smooth, practiced. She had a way of flipping the narrative until I was questioning myself, and each time, I backed off. Then Raymond entered the picture. She mentioned him in passing as we were prepping dinner, said he was pitching in on a new campaign launch. Just someone I used to know, she said casually, dicing onions like it held no weight. I raised a brow. What kind of used to know? Her expression didn't waver. My ex-husband, she answered. I froze, a wooden spoon suspended halfway to the pot. Your ex-husband? I echoed. She chuckled lightly, unfazed. Oh, Gregory, don't overthink it. That was forever ago. We're just friends now. Apparently, he ran a creative agency. One of her clients had contracted his firm, and now their paths had crossed again. You're not going to make this into some big thing, are you? She added lightly. I didn't. I should have. But I didn't. At the time, I still held on to the belief that mature love could coexist with remnants of the past. That history didn't have to mean danger. I told myself Raymond was just a name from a closed chapter. And I didn't want to be the guy who flinched at ghosts. That was my error. Because Raymond wasn't just history. He was suddenly very current. And I was about to see how far I'd let myself be fooled. Within a few months, his name began surfacing more often. Over coffee, Raymond steering the rebrand. At lunch, Raymond asked me to review the messaging. In casual chatter, Raymond had me laughing so hard today. You get the picture. At first, I played it cool. Nodded, sipped, kept my responses neutral. Sounds good. But there was something in her voice when she said his name. It had a rhythm, like she was probing my reaction. One evening, we were on the couch watching some forgettable show. She kept smiling down at her phone. I glanced sideways. Who's that? I asked. She angled her screen away, just barely. Just Raymond. He's being funny. I paused the TV. So now you two talk outside of work? She gave me a look. A little amused, a little superior. It's harmless chatting, Gregory. Don't spiral. I wanted to challenge her. I didn't. Later that night, when the house was still and she'd fallen asleep, I sat at the kitchen table alone, the silence pressing in. I wasn't angry. Not yet, but I could feel something inside me shifting. A boundary was beginning to take shape. Then, a week later, that boundary got tested. We were washing dishes side by side when she brought it up like it was no big deal. Raymond's hosting a weekend at his lake house, just the team, bit of bonding, some drinks, super low-key. I turned off the tap and reached for a towel. "You're planning to go?" She gave a casual shrug. "Yeah, I haven't had a proper break in ages. I need it." I looked at her carefully. "So, you're going to spend the weekend at your ex-husband's lake house?" Her expression didn't flinch. "It's not just the two of us, Gregory. It's a group trip, for work." I narrowed my eyes. "You could have declined." She raised her eyebrows, her tone tightening. "And why would I? We're adults. Nothing inappropriate is happening. Raymond and I are friends. That's it." I exhaled slowly. "You keep repeating that, but it doesn't feel like nothing. You light up when you talk about him. And I don't even think you realize it." She went still for a second, dish in hand. "You're exaggerating. I haven't done anything wrong." "Not yet," I said. "But you're pushing the edge, testing how much you can get away with before I finally say enough." She tilted her head. "So what? Is this your line in the sand?" I nodded, calm but firm. "If you go," I said, drying the last plate, "don't come back." She turned to face me, dish frozen in midair, speechless. "You're serious?" I asked, my tone even, steady. No raised voice, no visible reaction. I didn't move. She gave me that familiar crooked smirk, the one she wore when she thought I was being overly sensitive. "Oh, come on, Gregory, don't be dramatic. This isn't some high school fling." "No," I answered, setting the plate gently on the table. "It's a marriage, and right now, you're steering it straight off a cliff." She looked at me like she was trying to decipher a puzzle, waiting to see if this was just another performance she could breeze past with charm. But not this time, and something in her face shifted when that sank in. She didn't believe me. Her eyes betrayed that, loud as a shout. The morning she was meant to leave, she behaved like it was any ordinary day, humming as she packed, carefully selecting outfits, taking her time with her makeup. She'd sneak glances at me here and there, likely waiting for a protest, an emotional plea. I gave her nothing. Just sat at the table, sipping my coffee and scrolling through my phone like I was checking headlines. Distant, unmoved. Eventually, she leaned in the doorway and asked, "You're really going to throw this all away over a weekend?" I didn't even glance up. "If you go through that door, we're finished." She crossed her arms. "This is ridiculous, Gregory. It's just a few days." "No, it's not." I rose, brushed past her, and opened the front door wide. She blinked, caught off guard. "So that's it? That's how it ends?" "That's exactly how." She didn't respond right away. Then, finally, she rolled her suitcase toward the exit. Before stepping out, she kissed my cheek, light, dismissive, like I was being childish. "You'll come to your senses," she said as she left. I watched as she loaded her bag into the Uber and got in. She didn't even glance back. Once the car disappeared down the street, I grabbed my phone and called a locksmith. He showed up less than an hour later. While he worked on the locks, I moved from room to room, boxing up her belongings. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was just focused. Calm. Clothing, cosmetics, novels. Everything of hers got packed away and sealed. I had it all shipped to her sister Melissa. Not her parents. They'd call, ask questions. Melissa would get it. She'd keep quiet. Next, I called my attorney. "I want to file for divorce," I said, my voice flat. I wasn't out for payback. I didn't want an apology. I wanted out. I wanted clarity. Peace. Julia returned earlier than I thought. I figured she'd be back late Sunday. But Saturday afternoon, my phone buzzed. A motion alert from the front camera. I was in a meeting. I glanced at the screen and saw her standing there, suitcase in hand, trying the door. I stepped into the hallway and watched her on the live feed. She jiggled the handle, then again. Her expression shifted. Confusion, disbelief, irritation, as if the house itself had betrayed her. Then she pulled out her phone. It rang a second later. "Gregory," she said, her voice tight. "Why can't I get inside?" "I had the locks changed," I replied, tone neutral. There was a pause. "You did what?" "I told you, walk out that door, and it's done." She laughed, brittle and incredulous. "You're being crazy. Can we just talk?" "There's nothing to say. Your things are at Melissa's. The papers will come next week." "Wait, are you really divorcing me?" "Yes." I could hear her breath quicken, fast, ragged. Then she tried a softer tone. "Please, let's just talk. I didn't even stay the whole weekend. I came back early." "That was your call," I said, just like leaving was. "Gregory, don't do this." I ended the call. She tried again. 3 times. I let them all ring through. Then came the texts. "This is insane. You're wrecking everything over a short trip. You're being immature." I didn't reply. The camera showed her later, sitting on the porch steps, hunched over, phone in hand. She looked like someone who finally understood the control had slipped from her grasp, and for the first time in a long while, I felt still. Not triumphant, not enraged, just done. Eventually, she left. That night, I silenced my phone. I didn't need to hear her unraveling more than I already had. Whatever story she had been telling herself, we weren't in it together anymore. I'd stepped out. But sometime after midnight, I noticed a voicemail. Just one. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering for a second, then I tapped play. Her voice came through, quiet, raw, like she'd been crying for hours. "Gregory, please. I didn't know how to say it earlier. I messed up. You were right. About Raymond." It wasn't a harmless invite. He wasn't just extending a hand to be kind or trying to make everyone feel included. Yes, he invited others, but now I can see the truth. I was the one he was after from the beginning. Back then, I thought I had control. I really believed I was the one in charge. Her voice trembled as she spoke, footsteps echoing softly across the porch. "He waited until I had enough drinks in me. That's when he isolated me. I never meant to stay after the others left. It wasn't planned. I swear it wasn't." Then came the silence, followed by a gut punch. He recorded everything. I didn't even realize until the next morning. He showed me the video himself. Swore it would stay hidden, unless I said anything. That's how he's keeping me quiet. I stood motionless in the kitchen, listening as her voice unraveled. She said he had gone dark. He knew the game was over. "I'm scared, Gregory. I didn't want this," she whispered before her voice cracked into sobs, words spilling in fragments. "Please don't leave me in this. I didn't know what I was doing. I made a mistake. But I need you now. Please, just come outside." And with that, the message ended. I looked at the front door, then to the window. There she was, again, pacing like a ghost on the porch, gripping her phone like it was the only thing holding her together. But I didn't move. Instead, I picked up mine, opened our chat, and typed, "You made your choice. Live with it." Then I hit block and went to bed. Sunday passed in complete silence. I shut her out completely. Phone, blocked, email, deleted, social media, gone without a trace. By Monday morning, I walked into work like nothing had happened. Fresh clothes, hot coffee, clear head. Around noon, my lawyer sent over the finalized divorce documents. I signed and sent them back that day. Tuesday brought the aftershocks. Her sister Melissa reached out first. "She's not doing well. Please talk to her." I didn't answer. Then came a few mutuals from back in the day. They tried to soften things. "She made a mistake. Don't throw it all away over one night. If you ever loved her, at least hear her out." I didn't bother reading past the first few lines. None of them knew the full story. They hadn't seen what I'd swallowed over the years. They weren't there when I warned her again and again. They didn't know I was the one who quietly picked up her messes behind the scenes. Eventually, Julia moved back in with her parents. Melissa wouldn't let her stay. Her father, strict and old-fashioned, never liked how close she stayed to Raymond, even during her marriage. Word was, he was furious. Julia tried to spin the whole thing, claimed I overreacted, that it was just a trip. But a few days later, her mother called. Calm, steady, thoughtful. "Gregory, I'm not trying to make things right," she said gently. "I just want you to know, we get it. You didn't deserve this, and we're sorry." I thanked her. That was the last I ever heard from them. As for Raymond, the second he caught wind that Julia might go to the police, that she had started talking, he vanished, deleted all his accounts, quit his job, cut ties with everyone. When things got serious, he bolted, and Julia had gambled everything on him. I kept moving forward. Almost a year has passed. People still ask sometimes, co-workers, distant acquaintances who only heard pieces. "What happened with you and Julia?" I just shrug. Didn't work out. And leave it at that. I don't need to relive it. I already lived it, every painful second. The divorce went through smoothly, no court fights, no screaming matches. She signed the papers without argument. Maybe she knew it was over long before she ever stepped back through that door. Maybe she knew the moment her key didn't fit in the lock. There was no big scene, no final plea that could undo what she had done. She crossed a line I told her she couldn't, and this time I didn't cave. I think that's what rattled her most. Not my silence, not the end of the relationship, but the fact that I didn't shout, didn't beg, didn't chase. I just left. She kept trying afterward. New phone numbers, disposable email addresses, the same message in every form. "I didn't mean for this to happen. You were right. Please let me explain." I never replied. I wasn't waiting for some grand apology. I didn't need her to pay for it. I didn't need some teary moment of truth to make sense of it all. Because when she walked out that night, knowing full well what I'd said and what it meant, she gave me all the clarity I would ever need. People still ask sometimes, would you ever take her back? No. Not because I'm bitter, but because I've learned to value myself. More than I did back then. I gave her patience. I gave her space. I gave her every chance to grow. And in the end, she gave everything to Raymond, a man who vanished the second life got complicated. I didn't explode. I woke up, and that made all the difference. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you liked this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.